Then let me introduce you to our presenters. We have from Bosch, Richard Schuring, which is the Integration Partner Program Manager in EMEA. We have Jan Noten, Integration Partner Program Integration Architect in EMEA. And then from Philips, Tim de Gruyter is the Business Manager in EMEA, and Andrea Barbuti, Technical Product Manager Solutions EMEA. So now, Richard, you can start.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. First of all, I would like to say hello to the audience interested in the people counting solution made possible by Bosch and Philips. The agenda for today looks as following. We will first have an introduction to the two companies who made this solution possible. And it will be presented by, as said before, Tim de Gruyter from Philips and myself. And after that, we have a closer look to the people counting solution presented by Jan Noten and André Barbuti. The introduction to Bosch. I think you all know Bosch. Bosch is a world leader in technology and services and is investing billions in research and development in 125 engineering locations, which result in innovative products that excites customers. A few words about the Bosch Group and some facts and figures. Bosch globally manufactures and sales network covers nearly every country in the world. We do this together with over 400,000 enthusiastic Bosch colleagues. On the right side, you can see Bosch is organized in 4 business sectors. The mobility solutions, so everything that has to do with mobility, cars, electric, etc. Industrial technology, energy and building technologies, to which we belong, and consumer goods, which is resulting in a turnover of last year approximately 78 billion euro. So as said, we belong to the building technology part, and we provide security and safety and communication products and the solutions worldwide. And for selected regions on the right side, you can see we are the partner for connected building solutions in the area of life, safety, building automation, and energy services. To make a summary of the business areas we are in as a one-stop shop supplier, we can support our customers with the security, safety, and communication products. We are telling you more about the PeCo solutions, which belongs to the video part, but we have also the access control, intrusion alarm system, the software services, fire alarm, public address, which goes along with that, commercial audio, critical communication, professional sound, and conference systems. From here on, I want to hand over the word to Tim de Gruyter, who will do a short introduction to the Philips company.
Thank you, Richard, and hello to everyone. My name is Tim de Gruyter, and I'm the business manager for Philips Professional Displays, and I will give you a short introduction to Philips. So whether it's a toothbrush, a shaver, a coffee machine, a TV, or a lighting bulb shining above your head, you know the brand Philips. But who are we? Who is Philips Professional Displays? In 2009, TPV took over the display business from Philips. TPV is the largest display manufacturer in the world and was already producing displays for Philips. There's a brand license agreement in place that gives the right to TPV to market and sell displays under the Philips name. We market the Signage displays, professional TV, and LED solutions as Philips Professional Displays. Our other business units market the Philips IT monitors, consumer TV, and also consumer audio. And all products, of course, meet the high quality standards of what you can expect from Philips. To give an idea of the scale of TPV, we supply 63 million displays, monitors, and TVs per year, which makes us the largest manufacturer in the world. We do have 9 manufacturing sites, mainly in China, but also in Russia, Poland, and South America. and also 4 innovations and R&D sites, where Ghent in Belgium is the site for professional displays. This means all of our professional displays products are designed and developed from a European perspective. TPV has a worldwide sales and distribution model with almost 33,000 employees and a revenue of $12 billion. I am part of the EMEA team, but we also work closely with our colleagues of the regions North and South America, Asian Pacific, and China. This gives us an advantage to act fast and flexible on projects with a cross-region or global scale. Philips Professional Display Solutions can provide you a full range of signage displays, including video walls, touch displays, and high brightness displays. And 80% of our signage range is based on the Android platform, which is worldwide the most used platform. The signage range addresses all the market verticals below, like corporate, public venues, retail, transportation, etc. Also in our portfolio, we have LED solutions, and these are indoor LEDs and focus on the corporate and retail market. And for the hospitality market, we have a full range of professional TVs available to entertain hotel guests when they are on holiday or on a business trip. So thank you for that, and I will hand over to Jan.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Jan Note, I'm the architect of Bosch, and I'm responsible for integration matters. So what you see here in the first picture is actually more or less an integration result that everybody was focusing on the last 4 or 5 months when the coronavirus started to work, to make in shops the possibilities for a safer world possible. Now you can see that in this picture we have made an integration between the Bosch cameras, the intelligence of the Bosch cameras, together with the powerful Philips Android SoC displays. And I'm going to tell you something about the technology behind it and how it all works together. Then my colleague Andrea from Philips will tell something about the displaying and everything that can be shown then on monitors. Philips counting for a safer social distance. So we focus more or less on retail at the moment, but there will be more application areas that this solution can be used. It's a standalone solution, so that means standalone, no internet needed. There is a possibility, of course, but in the first place, not needed. No PC, no extra PC, and no video management system to control everything. So the solution is created to regulate the total number of customers in the stores. As you can see on the right side, there's a picture already with a monitor showing a red light. That's a typical indication that there are too many people for social distancing in the shop, and that's what the solution does then. The digital displays face mostly outside the store to coordinate the queuing of customers, of course. When people can get in, the light will go green, of course. Now, also keep waiting customers informed with visual alerts, warnings when occupancy limits are reached or when it is permitted to enter again. Well, what does this standalone solution look like then as components, as elements of the solution? It's a people counting solution, so it is a standalone PeCo, as we abbreviate it, for people counting, and it has the next components, as you see from left to right. The monitor as such, as an Android monitor, the intelligent camera from Bosch, some micro IP3000 basically. I'll come to more information later about that. A PoE router, power over Ethernet, or if you don't have power over Ethernet in the router, you can always use an inserter, because the camera directly is powered from the router itself. You see at the bottom there all the different components, including the wall bracket and also a USB stick. And Andrea will tell more about this. This USB stick is part of the monitor. You'll see that later too, for the program to run in an Android environment, the warnings and so forth. Now, what is a one-to-one solution, a one camera to one monitor solution? As you see here, this is the simplest setup of the package. And it's nothing more than that if you start using the solution, the PeCo solution. So on the left side, you see the monitor, then that routes to the camera on the right side. And it's a one-to-one solution, so the camera can be used at the input of a store, and the monitor can also be used anywhere in the store at the entry of the store to warn the people willing to enter. Physically, for installers, it would look like this. A simple example, one camera, one display. As you see on the right side, there is a simple drawing made of an installation. The camera could be mounted to the ceiling, and the PO router also can be located close to it on the ceiling if there is room for it. It's a power cable, and the power cable goes to the monitor. And from the router, there runs actually one cable is sufficient, but a second cable for network connection is used for the servicing of the camera and also to set up the camera. Then here at the bottom, you see if I can put here a pointer. Here at the bottom, you see here the USB stick, and the USB stick is used in the monitor to boot up and start with the settings that the end user actually wants to have. So all is told by Andreas. Next slide. We see that the installation flow, if you had that previous example in mind, is you connect the display and the camera to the PoE router. That's only a PoE router, wire router, because the PoE router can provide an IP address if there is a DHCP server in there. That's what most routers have. If you have a switch, there are mostly no DHCP servers to hand out IPs to the components on the network. A router will do that automatically. Now, the second step is to install the Philips People Count app on the display. So the app must be, as an Android app, installed on the monitor. That's what you have to do. And there you have all the facilities that you will come across later. The third step is load the camera settings. And in the camera load, we defined a sort of pre-configured camera with all sorts of IVA line detection crossings that are virtual lines over the camera, all pre-set up, so you can load that setup, and that's done for the camera then. Step 4 is that you have to prepare the USB stick, the content, and put it, of course, in the monitor to start the installation for starting of the monitor and showing the app. Now we get also many questions that the single camera, single monitor, of course, is a very nice application for a lot of verticals and a lot of customers. But also we have requests: is it possible to use multi cameras to other monitors? Now I am going to show you a few setups that's also possible. The nice thing is about this system is that the camera intelligence tells when there are line crossings, so entries and exit line crossings. And in the camera, we are going to route or send more or less that data of the line crossing event to the monitor. So you can understand that here on the right side, if you have multiple cameras in a store, you can put all the store cameras to detect people coming from also illegal entries for staff, maybe that went out for a smoke or come back as they are ready. Of course, they are part of the total people in the store, and they come via the fire exits, for instance, or via the back door. So all these information from all these cameras can be routed via a script in each camera to the same monitor. So that will count the total events happening in the total screen store for people counting. Now, our next possibility is, of course, that you have only one camera to multi-monitor solutions. You can think about, for instance, a lot of stores in a shopping mall where each store has its own security room, so to say, or its own monitor. Its main entrance monitor where the camera is facing all the input events. That is the shop owner, but also it might be that the same events have to be routed to a security room in the shopping mall to have an ID how many people are in the total area of all the shops together. That's also possible because, again, the camera can route to any monitor at any moment its own counting events. Now you can think of a combination of all this yourself. I made here a little drawing of all traffic that can happen if you have a multi-door, multi-cameras to multi-monitor solutions. So also for big shopping malls and restaurants and shops that have all individual monitors from their own entry cameras on the right side, but also, yeah, a general all-together count of a shopping mall is needed in a control room. Then you can also route it from each camera to any monitor it's on the network. Now you see that at the bottom here, maximum 80 cameras and 20 monitors can be used in this system. There are no extra licenses nor anything else is needed, hardware, for instance. This can all be done in the same application. Now, when it comes to counting people, of course, it's important that we have a good count ratio, that we can really do something special and count only people on the move at entry and exit points of the shop. So our cameras, basically, we have video analysis, and we can use it as a sensor to detect here on the sensor itself what sort of object is moving and where, in which direction and colors and so forth. So in the video, we have algorithms that are going to scan each frame, and the algorithms can produce then metadata. This metadata is a specific data string of all sorts of information that the camera detects, so the color, the speed, directions, all sorts of filtering are possible. And you see that here on the line that can be presented next to a video stream to an application. In this application, we even don't use this because we are going to use in the camera itself the metadata or the IVA algorithm detectors to detect the event of line crossings. And in the camera itself, we pass that on to an own alarm generator, alarm engine, so to say, and that will send that event over the IP to the monitor. So we do only there the algorithm usage of the internal IVA mechanisms. We call that the alarm task script language and IVA task script language. These two combine the cleverness of the system. Now, video analytics, we do that at the edge, as you can see. So at the camera side, nothing else on the edge, no central organization taking that responsibility. And our PeCo solution has to do here, as you can see, with only line crossings. There are many, many possibilities, object in field and so forth, left luggage, speed detection, color detection, objects occupancies in a certain area and so forth. That information as object filter can be filtered, and it can also be object classification. So is it a car? Is it a person? Is it a lorry? And all there is scripting and the camera trained to optimize this functionality of generating proper data that can be handled on the right side here to any intelligent scene data available for partner solution for any vertical application, even to dashboards that if you want to generate all that information from the video events. I'm going to now to the next slide. That's very quick. These are all the cameras that Bosch can supply, and the good news is that all the cameras that here are listed do support IVA, Intelligent Video Analysis, and also EVA. Two classifications. EVA is the more simpler detection, but a lot of cleverness is still in there. And IVA is a more clever, intelligent and hardware excelled detection mechanism. So it has more opportunities to very specifically detect something. let's now have a look to what the installation of the Bosch camera is. Actually, we've been thinking about it, how can we make it as simple as possible out of the box to have an installation up and running as quick as possible. In every shop there is a different different circumstances, lighting conditions, entrances are different, so cameras must really have a look at the entrance and access to find the objects they are moving and discriminate persons. As I said already before, it is of course very nice to upload a setting from a predefined entrance, and that's actually the idea of the PeCo camera that we launched. And the PeCo camera, as you can see here on one of the programming sheets, PeCo camera is then the setting of, as we think, the most major setting that can be used in the field in any shop. That is then loaded, and that is this line here, the VCA script text here. When you load that information from the text file into the camera via our configuration manager, then automatically that script is showing in the IVA settings, and here is the IVA. We call it VCA, Video Content Analysis, and then go to the tasks, and the task is here is a PeCo camera, and the PeCo camera, here's the display. This camera is then looking at of course at the entrance, and we thought there is always an entry line. So the left line here with this direction is an entry line. So this must match the flow of the persons in the shop going in the shop. Then there is another line that's called here the exit line, of course, and you can also see that the arrow of line flow is here set to the right. That is then the exit line. And to make this match, the only thing you have to do in your application when you run the configuration manager and look at the camera screen showing the entrance of your shop is you're going to move these lines over the entry physically in the local shop. And also the exit line, if these are, if there's one camera and it is an entry-exit solution, then of course you might even leave the two lines here, because you will see that the left flow is entering and the right is entering, exit, sorry. So the camera is already sensing in the right directions. If there are also handles here, every line can of course be moved by the handles, but be careful, the line is an exit line. So if you are turning it upside down 180 degrees by the handles, it might point the same direction to the left, but then it counts as exit. So you have to be careful. That's why I've indicated here the entry line and the exit line. That's the only thing that then the integrator has to do. And the next thing that he has to do is check. Of course, he's going to check on the entry, walking through the lines to see if the light here, the alarm here is lighting up. But also he will straight away see then the installer doing a test walk that the IVA mechanisms, the algorithms are looking together with him to the object that is moving. So he will see the traces around the people as yellow indication, and as soon as they pass the line, it will turn red. At that moment, the PeCo camera signals here an alarm. This is an enable-disable button, so if you press it in, you can enable and disable temporarily that alarm. But this alarm is then used by the internal alarm script editor that's located here. And this is another script, as I said, the IVA environment broadcasts alarms as events to the alarm trigger task script. And the alarm script, the task script has an ID, knows when a line is triggered, an input line and an output line. There are two defined lines. And in the alarm task script, each line will send an HTTP command to the monitor. For instance, if an entry line is crossed, the HTTP command will be an input line to the monitor saying somebody is getting in, or in other words, an add command to add the counter in the camera in the monitor up with 1. That's the idea how the script works. And the nice thing about this is also, I'm going to show that also later, is that there is an expansion possibility, because as you saw in the previous setup with multi-cameras, multi-monitors, in this alarm task script, you can then add manually, if you want, you can add there another HTTP, also getting indicating to a monitor that there is an add event. So you can add as many HTTP commands that are all triggered by the same line from the IVA environment, but all getting that command to send an HTTP to that particular monitor. So do you structure it? So it's a very flexible design, because the installer can add a simple code line, and with that he has activated another monitor also counting that your this camera's camera events. So that is up to the installer how he then composes the whole script as a total solution for the end user. There is also another thing that I have to say. This PeCo setup is a script. So this is a basic startup thing. That means 2 lines, as you can see, there are defined. Of course, the IVA algorithms have a lot of other things, as I mentioned in the other slides before, like objective fields or occupancy or all sorts of other detection mechanisms. If you add, you can still add that here, for instance, a line here and there, but that's for the specialist. So then you need to ask help, because this is set up initially for the quick install, and that gives us a basic functionality, very flexible still, as you probably have noticed. So that is what I would say about this slide. Then another thing, specifically for all the people who are thinking, hey, this is interesting, I would like to have a better look how things can be used. First, I would like to say something about the installation, and that's here. I talked about the shop floor entrance. If you have, for instance, this shop floor entrance here in the picture, you can have one camera spotting that. Of course, then everybody will ask, what camera do I need? And what is the width of the camera when I mount it 3 meters up from the floor? Now, we have a fantastic tool in our environment, in the Bosch website, that's called the lens calculator. And as you can see here, as an example, I have made here an example here. Not only that previous here, before you get to this picture, you can select any camera from Bosch from a list box. So angles of lens, wide views, Tailor views, that sort of things can be checked. Once you have selected that camera that you want to have, then of course immediately the calculator here will calculate all sorts of things to yourself. Here's a hairline, as you can see there, this little ball. If you move that to the left or right, you're actually expanding the distance that the camera can see, where at this position, for instance, he can only see the head of that person. So all the information that on your shop floor are important is that you also tell the camera at what height he is. That has to be done in the configuration manager also. And when the height is available, you can then move to your hairline to see what the area of detection is on the shop floor. And all these informations here give you what the width is of detection. So change that ball and you'll get all the possibilities and calculations done automatically. That's a very handy tool. Once you've done the installation, then I advise you to go to the app note. The app note is this document where we have done our utmost to make the whole system as foolproof as possible. So step by step you get there the guidance, how to a very detailed guidance, how to set up or even start downloading the configuration tool, start downloading the scripts, the application software and so forth. That is all available in the app note. So this is your guide to start from scratch, and what you can also see there are a lot of hints of for you what, for instance, is a DHCP server, and can I use a router or a switch? How do I work with that? A lot of information there. Now there is another solution there, or a link here. I cannot show here the link itself because these are all clickable. But in the PDF that you will receive, there you will have all the shortcuts as a link to the site where you can download this. The whole people count PeCo solution software is available from our IPP portal, our IPP partner program portal. In this link, and when you click there, you have all the software needed for the PeCo solution. That is a configuration manager, even the firmware of the camera. Your start firmware must be 7.61 to do the solution. So if you have an older version coming out the box of the camera, you have also the guidelines in the upload how to upload the new firmware, and you're up and flying. The other thing that's also on our portal lately is the Philips installation manual, but my colleagues from Philips will elaborate on that. So yeah, this is a fantastic solution. We've been playing a lot with it already and had a lot of fun how it worked, and it was really fantastic to see it working in practice as well. Okay, that was my presentation. Thank you very much for your interest, and I would like to give the floor now to Andrea for the Philips monitor side information.
Thank you, Jan. Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea, Product Manager for the Philips Signage displays and software solutions like this one we're talking about. So as Jan explained already, the solution is made of mainly two parts, a Bosch people counting camera and the Philips display. So what is the display part in this? The display is actually running an Android application which is receiving the commands from the cameras. So when the camera alarms are triggering a command, the display is receiving let's say just a counting +1 or -1 command. We have different versions of the app already available with different templates. So as you can see, we have a version with 50% of the screen being notification content and the other 50% being just advertisement or information content in a loop. And we have a version which is just full screen notification content. So these are made to work in portrait, and as you can see, the resolution of the images that you can use is full HD. In case of the 50/50 split screen version of the app, you will see that is already provided with some example content that you see here on the right. That is just displaying a green arrow or a stop sign when it's allowed or not to enter the shop. So the configuration of the app is very, very simple. It's just about copying the right files on the USB stick. And that makes possible changing the content in a very easy way and changing also the notification content. The format allowed are JPEG and PNG for the notification content. So let's say the arrow and the stop sign. While the advertisement customer content can be JPEG, PNG, or MP4 videos. This looks a bit technical, but it's just because I want to show you how easy to set up the full solution. So this is a file that is also included in the USB drive connected to the display. And the number you see there in red is where you can set the maximum number of people allowed in the shop at the same time. So this is the only thing you need to change. So changing that number will set the threshold where the display will actually change the content from green to red. I'm saying from green to red because as you see here, this is the name of the example content provided together with the application. So if you want to change that, you just need to put another file with the same name, or change the name of the file in this text script. This is all the configuration needed, and then the files are saved on the USB stick, and the USB stick is indeed left connected to the display. So as you see here as an example, on the left, with the counter set to maximum 3, you see that when the people count is below 3, you will see this left side of the content, so a green arrow that is welcoming customers in, and the content on the bottom side of the screen that is just looping. It is possible to change the looping time of the pictures. There is a standard default of 5 seconds, but with the remote control of the display, it's possible to change that looping time. When the threshold of, in this case, in this example, 3 people enter the shop, the content will automatically change to this one. So the top part will show a stop signal or any other content that you put in the USB folder. And the bottom part will keep playing advertisement or any other content. In the full screen version of the application, only the, let's say, triggered content is shown. So the screen is full screen showing just the messaging. So just indicating people if they are allowed or not in the shop. It works exactly in the same way. The configuration is exactly the same. It's just a different layout of the app that does not include any looping content. There is also another version with an actual traffic light indication. We have been asked to make this one with 3 different, let's say, notifications. A green light when it's possible to enter the shop, a red light when the maximum capacity has been reached, and an orange indication, which we've been asked because we see that in some situations there is a group of people waiting to enter the shop. So you can actually set up this one a little bit differently. So the display will already give information when a certain number of spots stays available. So if there's a group of people waiting, they know they have to wait a little bit more, even if there is still space inside, but not enough for all of them. I want to show you how the configuration of this one is. It's also very, very simple. You have to just set 2 numbers. So when the orange will trigger and when the red light will trigger. In this case, it's also possible to customize the messaging that is displayed next to the actual traffic light animation. So changing this text will change what is actually displayed on the monitor. So the configuration is very, very easy. It's just modifying this simple text file, save it, and leave it in the USB stick. The content that can be played together with the traffic light version or the 50-50 split version can be, again, JPEG, PNG, or MP4 video files. So it is also possible, of course, to make modifications on the counter in case there is a miscount of some kind. So with the remote control of the display, it is possible to, first of all, check and change the looping time of the, let's say, advertisement content. So pressing the info button of the remote control will show the current looping time and give you the possibility to modify it. And simply pressing the up and down keys on the remote control can modify the people count. So we know that it's possible to have miscounts due to people tailgating or indeed personnel, so employees of the shops coming in or out from a fire exit or not, let's say, the entrance that is monitored by the camera. So it's always possible to change the count. To reset the count, it's just necessary to reboot the app. It will start back from at 0 counter. This solution is based on an Android application. That means it's compatible with all of the Philips professional display SoC displays, being the Q line, the D line, and the P line, as you can see here. There are differences between these displays. So based on the positioning and the actual position of the installation, you can fit the best displays with the best resolution on the best brightness that you need. For other type of displays, for let's say special installation, if you need a very high brightness display, we're talking about 2,500 candelas to 3,000 candelas, in case you are in a shop that is actually facing sunlight, so in a very bright spot. We have our high brightness line, which is not Android based, but it can be using our CRD50. CRD50 is our OPS module. If you are not familiar with what an OPS is basically a computing machine embedded in a specific form factor that can be slide in the display itself, so it becomes one piece together with the display. There are no cables required, no power required. Everything is done internally when you slide in the module, and that will give Android power to our H line, T line, or even X line. So yes, this solution can even be used on a video wall. Everything can be downloaded from these links. So you will receive the PDF and you will find on the download links. So the installation pack will contain the apps which are only compatible with Philips professional displays. So they cannot be installed or they will not work on other, let's say, general Android devices. There is a full manual to install the application on the display itself. It's a very easy procedure and there is a very detailed manual to be followed. The full camera setup guide application note from Jan. And there is also a link from our support center from Philips Professional Display Solutions, where you can ask all your technical questions. There is a support team behind it ready to help you. At this point,
indeed. Thank you very much, Andrea and Jan, for your detailed technical in-depth dive to the people counting solution we made together possible. I want to before we go to the Q&A session, I want also to say some words about the joint sales channel approach we have together. In fact, we try to make it as simple as possible for all the stakeholders, meaning that the Bosch and the Philips distributors can offer both the complete solution. The Bosch and the Philips distributors can purchase each other products, so the camera and the monitors, at each other's local representative in the respective countries in EMEA. The list of appointed Bosch and Philips distributors for this PeCo counting solution can be obtained as your current Bosch Philips sales contact. And as mentioned in the bottom, all other general inquiries can be sent to the email address shown on this slide. In the remaining time, we will do, let's say, the Q&A. Let's say that are the questions you put in the chat box, and maybe in case of time limitations and we could not answer all your questions, please feel free to use the email address mentioned on the slide. We will provide you this presentation also in a PDF format. So thank you for your attention. We will now switch to the Q&A part, which we received, and a lot of people reacted on that. So starting with some of the questions here. Is this solution also possible to combine with existing monitor signage already installed? Maybe somebody from Philips can answer this.
I can take this question. So as long as the display is from one of the series presented before, so Q line, D line, or P line, so every Android powered displays from our line, or with the CRD50, yes, the solution can be, well, let's say the application can be installed on the display, and yeah, and then the camera is needed.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Another question: can we install this app on an Android tablet?
No, the app is only compatible with Philips displays.
Excellent. Another question: why the router, a PoE injector directly connected to the display, do the job as well? That's not correct. Jan, you can answer that, I assume.
Yeah, I can take that one. We've been thinking about how to advise as much as we can on IP network facilities locally in the shop. First of all, as I indicated already, it's a standalone system, so actually a router and going over network is not so necessary. Although a lot of shop owners would like to also do, as we call it here in Holland, narrowcasting, so from an external entry, mainly the head office or the headquarters of a certain shop chain might also like to present, of course, information on the monitor. That's the router and the PoE. Of course, the PoE is needed for the camera. The router as such is only needed because we would like to start with the DHCP, so that the IP numbers of the devices like the monitor, the camera, as well as your laptop are automatically assigned when you connect. So there is no need to set up or to talk to someone else to find out what IP numbers you may use for the installation to program in it. And the injector, the injector is there to just make sure that the power is going to the camera via that injector. And the other end of the injector is, of course, the router again. So the router has the function only to distribute IP addresses. That's the only reason.
Thank you.
So in case you decide to take a switch and you are familiar with the IP network, and there is an IT department, of course that will also work, but you have to make sure that the switch also has power over Ethernet to power the camera.
Thank you. There were some questions coming in about the GDPR issue. Is the camera solution GDPR proof? Good question. That's maybe we all have to think about and give an answer. Maybe we have to come back to that. I can't say anything there. We will come back on the issue, on the conformity issue, definitely. But we are not storing the video. There were some questions. I think we answered them also already. We can have also what to do when we have to add or delete people. That we can do with the remote control. Andrea explained that already. So that's also taking care of that question.
Richard, may I interrupt? I see here a very important one before we close.
No, please go ahead.
In the chat, there is somebody saying, can we use an existing camera in a shop that is already there to do this solution? Technically, I would say yes. But I would always also say it is a dedicated job to do this, the solution, so counting people. Of course, each Bosch camera has EVA, for instance. It can be recorded. You can do all sorts of things, and mostly in shops, it is dedicated to do something else. But basically, the people counting, I would say, leave that camera doing its own job, so that also scripts are not in danger of being tinkered with, changing, jeopardizing the whole installation. And so I would not recommend to do that. Just let the people count camera do its own job. That is my advice.
Okay. Another question comes in. Is it possible to change the settings from a third-party controller, and if, how?
Is that for the camera or is that for the
No.
monitor?
I assume for the monitor, for the remote control.
No, it is just for the remote control, as long as we are talking of the settings of the app itself. The settings of the display, like power on, power off, setting a scheduler, setting the volume or something, it is possible to do it with a third party, let's say a remote panel, of course.
Okay, thank you. Can I show other content like a website on the split or start another APK like Signage software?
So no, when this APK is running full screen on the foreground, so it's not possible to use another APK at the same time. But with the D line or the P line, it's possible to use picture-in-picture. So it's possible to display the people count application running in a window, and on the full screen, let's say, part of the picture-in-picture is possible to display different content, like from a physical source.
Does the Philips display and any type of public address or sounds for every entry and exit? If not, can these monitors be connected to a PA system?
The application now does not produce a sound when let's say when the count is changing or reaching the maximum, but that's something that we were thinking of adding to the app. It can be connected to a PA system. There is an audio output of the display, but there is no sound produced at the moment.
Okay. There was also a question: is there a guide for the installation of the camera, the height, angle, etc.? It's very important for the IVA to work properly. So I think shown by during the presentation of Jan, we have the link for setting up the camera, the height, the lens calculator, etc. So that is in the link. That's the one. Did you consider using the classification of people as accuracy of the count? In other words, people only question.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've been reading that as well. People ask, for instance, are employees of the store, are they counted as well? Well, we don't do such a great object classification that we can detect, for instance, store members because wearing the same clothes or something. So it's up to the application really to have the counts from any object that you want, a person's then, and where they come from. So we cannot distinguish, of course, that certain persons are not or just alone counted. So that means employees are just part of the people running in the same shop around, and they are also maybe obliged to respect the distancing measures in the shop. So we do not distinguish between any people in the shop at all.
Okay. I see also shop owners sometimes can be difficult, and first they will ask for a 100% display, and then they ask for a 50% display. Is it correct that two different packages, can it not be one, right? Maybe Philips can answer that one.
There are two different packages indeed. So it is necessary to manually, let's say, change the application in case you want to change from split to full screen.
Yeah. Of course, I see also questions coming in for more features for the system. So does the system give also data like heat mapping, etc.? So this system doesn't do that. We are, of course, very much interested to look into that and to extend the system as such. Okay. I see also any Android TV connect with the Bosch camera? That's a little bit vague, the question.
If we're talking about the differentiation between TV and professional displays, no, only professional displays will work with this system. Even Philips Android TV, commercial grade TV, will not be compatible with the system.
Okay. We will take still a few questions more. Can I connect this system with the relay?
As a count, I suppose that the question was meant to be as a count of people crossing somewhere, like an infrared ray of light, for instance, and then the relay will close it. That can be taken as input. That is technically not an issue, but it has to be locally arranged because in our cameras we also can use input relay contacts, and as a result of an input, we can address the same alarm task engine to address an add count or a minus count to the Philips monitor. That's not difficult, but that is a local setup that can be made via local integrators.
Okay. Is it possible to show the actual number of persons in the shop on the display?
Well, we are receiving a lot of questions and suggestions about the layouts on the app in this session. So currently, you can display the current number with the remote control, but is not, let's say, part of the layout.
Okay. That it supports MP4, we already presented in the presentation, so that's correct. Is it possible to present the video from a Bosch camera directly to a Philips monitor?
In the current setup of the solution, the video stream from the camera is not taken in because the content of the application is displayed from the USB stick only. So not, let's say, not in this application. Generally, yes, but not with this application.
Okay, thank you very much. So due to time limitations, we have to stop exactly in time. I think that Olga wants to make the closure as such as our host. I would like to thank, first of all the presenters for this very interesting presentation. So all the participants will receive this presentation in the PDF, but Olga will do the closing. So thank you very much all for your attention, and in case of issues for the Bosch part, but of course also in total for the PeCo, we're always happy to address us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. So yes, I would like to thank you again, everybody, for attending this webinar. We hope it was good and as you expected. And as we have already mentioned, we will send after the webinar the presentation to all the attendees. And if in this presentation you will have the contact email of the 4 presenters. So if you have further questions that were not answered during this webinar, please feel free to contact them. So thank you very much to all Philips and Bosch partners for joining this event. Thank you.